Hey everybody, today on the AgentXcel podcast, we have our guest, Brett Tvenge. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so, I always like the listeners to know when I interview some people and I have no idea who they are outside of just, crushing it in real estate, like no connection. You and I have actually become friends over the last few years. And so just kind of, I'm going to explain that backstory and then just enter you into the mix. So brought you on the show because you turned into just being like a flipper, man, like you wholesaler flipper. And so was the one that the very first one, like is the very first flip the one that you called me on?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's probably the
I,
more interesting story is how'd that all go down?
yeah, man. I was sitting on the sidelines for far too long and finally decided to jump in, bought a first property, needed a 4-week renovation. During that renovation, I said, oh, wait, I need a way to sell this thing. I don't know anybody that's a realtor. So I started making some phone calls and some text messages. And two of my friends that are very close to you were like, this is your guy. And I met you, we linked up, hit it off, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that was I remember I was at Disneyland and I got this voicemail and I listened to it. I was like, hey, this is Brett, and I got your number from one of my friends and I need to sell a house. And I was like, this is the happiest place on earth, right? You get listings and you get to enjoy. So I remember calling you back, lining up a time to meet you. It was like 2 days later when I got back. I remember walking in, you were just sitting in there with your, I think, you had your 10X hat, I believe, on.
Always.
Something where I knew you were like Grant Cardone. Uh, I knew you subscribed to that model instantly. And what was really cool about that is just, I mean, your energy to know that I was helping you sell that. And then we'll talk more about the other ones that I helped sell. And then your whole story on that. But what first attracted you to even wanting to do that? You said you had been wanting to do it for years. So what got you motivated to do it, and what actually got you to pull the trigger to do it?
Yeah, so I guess we could say it all started with my mom essentially. She worked for a large builder and flipper for 20 plus years, and I saw the numbers. I saw the rehabs. I would pop in on weekends with her if she was checking on properties for him, and I just kind of fell in love with the business from a young age. And it honestly took me from graduating college to being in my late 20s to realize like, hey, that's what I want to be doing. I went to school for finance. I didn't want to be a banker. I didn't want to have set hours. I have a family and we like being able to pop in and work as much or as little as we would like.
Okay. So, all right. So now how do you go from wanting to be a flipper, walking into some places with your mom and things like that, to actually signing contract, I'm buying this house? Like, where did you even get the guts to do that? How did you learn how to run the numbers? Was a lot of it just blind faith, like most that succeed tell you their story? They're like, I just jumped in and figured it out. How did that look like on that very first one that I sold for you? I mean, I entered into the mix and said, hey, with what you're doing, this is what I could sell it for. Where did you know that like this is what I had to buy it for in order to turn that profit?
Yeah, so I guess it would start years in it behind even that date. It would start, I would guess about 3 years behind that, into kind of putting all the pieces as much together as possible, reading lots of books and networking behind the scenes. I actually followed a lot of a guy named Mark Ferguson out of Boulder, Colorado. I followed a lot of his stuff.
Okay.
And I shot him an email one day and I said, man, like I see everything popping up on Zillow, but how do I buy it for this discounted price you talk about? And he connected me with a guy named Spencer Caldwell here. And the rest was history. He was sending 20 plus deals that were discounted based on the conditions of the properties. He was sending out 20 plus emails a day on properties, and I was starting to feel more comfortable, like there was going to be the opportunity to make a profit, not having to pay what you're seeing on Zillow and MLS and those prices. Because I mean, we all know it's so competitive being once it's live on the market.
Yeah. So how did you learn to run numbers? I mean, so you met up with Spencer, and that obviously gives you now a connect that has, the product that you're looking for, the inventory you're looking for. What is your system that you have when you get a list of houses like that to know how are you fast processing things, and then how to get you even cause it's like a funnel. You're probably fast processing things,
Mhm.
getting that list of like, oh, this is worth actually deep diving into. Like on that first transaction that I sold for you, how'd you know how much things were going to cost? Cause I mean, I hear all the time, dude, like people all the time say like, I want to flip houses.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't even like, I've been doing this for 16 years selling real estate and I don't even know what to do. I mean, I could do I could do a light remodel, but you're tearing down walls and I mean, doing
Yeah.
some stuff. So
So
where did you get that?
I guess it started during those 3 years of doing that, like my due diligence, if you will, before jumping into this business. I spent a lot of time with my brother-in-law, and he worked full time under a general contractor, and he was able to kind of point me in the right directions as to, hey man, to redo this kitchen, we're looking at X, and to redo this bathroom, we're looking at X. And he also gave me that contractor point of view where, hey man, it's not just as easy as taking this wallpaper down. We got to take it down, then skim the walls, and then texture them, and kind of showing me the process of a remodel.
Okay. So then if you don't mind me asking, what on that first one that I sold for you, like what was your profits on that? Like
30 grand.
30 G's, huh?
And I remember listening. The funny part about that is during that week, and you can pull it up because it was early July of 2020, there was a podcast on Bigger Pockets. And it was a lady who had just flipped her first couple of properties. And she had mentioned, she was sharing the same thoughts as me. She's like, I just wanted to get in so bad. I didn't even care if I broke even on the first flip. And that was kind of honestly my mindset. I just wanted to get the wheels rolling. The money came second, honestly, because I just wanted to be in this business, make my presence, and the rest was history.
It's interesting how I've talked to so many people that start down this journey and become successful. And I'm almost finding that more of it just happens to come down to just jumping in. Now, don't get me wrong, there's maybe a lot of research and, maybe you did a lot of research and found your confidence in that research. But I find that, I mean, there's some people out there that I know that say they're going to do something forever. And then there's just some of those people that just jump into something and they're willing to almost create a little bit of a mess, knowing that that's the only way that you can really ever accomplish anything is by just like jumping in the fire and figuring out how to do it.
Yeah, putting out the fires. Yeah.
What was the next property that you bought after that one?
So that one was in Midtown Phoenix. The next one would take us to Arcadia, townhouse in Arcadia.
Okay. And that's the one I sold for you as well, right?
Yep.
That was the second one?
That was the second one.
So what'd that look like? How'd you find that deal? My goal is for people who are listening that were like, hey, I wanted to do flipping, or this has been interesting. Like I've been interested in it, to find some, their way in this. So how'd you find that deal? How did you figure out what it was going to cost to flip it and how'd that whole process work?
Yeah, so I found it again through Spencer Caldwell, a really big wholesaler here in Phoenix. Once I took that down, we jumped into the remodel. We budgeted 25,000 on that remodel, came in at 21,000. So I was always running numbers very conservatively because we're playing with my family's money.
Sure.
Although I want to make money, I was more protecting the nest. So I budgeted everything high. I budgeted holding costs at 100 days, even though we were selling these in 60 after remodel and closing time. I just budgeted high on everything. And I said, hey, if there's still money left over after even budgeting high, then it's a good deal. We're going to go for it. So,
okay. Nice to know. It's kind of how I do when I buy my rental properties to hold, I do it. Hey, this is probably what it could get, but I've got to like dial it down. I'm like in a conservative spot, this is what it could rent for. And I look at it like if it can make enough in that conservative spot, then that's really where the deal is. Like anything else is just gravy.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you've probably been protected by that mindset. Cause I think some people can get too ambitious on what they're going to make. They're almost overexcite themselves to going poor.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you've said it clearly, like it's my family's money. So now in the mix, I kind of know your story a little bit. So you've wholesaled in the middle of that something. So by this time, when you're going to that second property, have you already wholesale some or not yet?
No. So it all started to kind of fall into place immediately after that deal.
Okay.
So that was,
what makes you decide like wholesale versus flip?
my model going into 2021, which was my good year. We did 9 properties. That
Wholesale?
wholesale or flipped
Okay, good.
total.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. So my model was, hey, while I take this down, let's see if there's anybody else out there that would essentially take it off my hands wholesale, and if there's not, we'll jump into it and flip it. Same structure. We're still buying it ready to go for the flip. Contractors are giving us bids while we're closing on it, the whole 9 yards. But if there's an end buyer willing to pop up while we're closing on this, let's at least advertise it. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, because I know I can remember, I think if it's correct, I helped you purchase actually as your realtor, like 2 of them, that townhouse that was on the corner right there by the light, if you remember that one,
Mhm.
and the one in the
Oh, yeah.
backyard
Yep.
that had the pool that was from 1927. I
Yeah.
was like, this one's
Yeah.
rough. So on those 2 that I helped you purchase, what made you on those ones specifically decide, hey, I'm wholesaling them versus I'm going to flip them? Is it just a certain amount that, hey, I can make this much money wholesaling it, why even spend my time and energy and have my capital tied up? Or
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
With that first house, I took the purchase price plus estimated profits, and we advertised it for that price. So I still ended up walking with what my target profits were.
Interesting. That's crazy how that can work, huh? Like when you say this is what my profit is, like you could have did all that energy and work, and yeah, you would have sold it for more money, but your profit could have been the same. Therefore, it's like, what are we doing here? Like the goal is actually to make a profit. So
Yeah.
someone who said like, hey, I want to flip this home, like you clearly understand the math of real estate to say like, this is one where if I'm going to make the same amount, it doesn't matter what I sell it for. This is really all about like what I'm going to net.
Exactly.
So what got you into, because the cool part of the story is we were introduced through a mutual friend for me to help you sell your real estate. Then I helped you buy some real estate. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, Chris, I'm going to go get my real estate license. I'm like, cool, man. Well, I'm glad we have a friendship now. That's how I look at all those
Yeah.
situations. So what made you want to actually get licensed and do, sell it for was it to sell it for yourself, or what was your reasoning?
No, yeah. To tell you the truth, it honestly, it wasn't. The commissions and everything, they help, but there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into it. As I now know, being an agent, there's a lot of paperwork. It's exhausting and it's time consuming. You have to worry about deadlines and dates, and honestly, I could do without that. But what I love about being an agent is the access to the MLS, the private remarks, and looking at the coming soons, and using monsoon and everything that goes into having total access of what is available.
Yeah.
Not being set up on a portal, right?
I mean, that's cool. I'm glad you said that, because I'm glad you respect the agent side of the business to realize like, yeah, they do make a profit, but yet that's an art of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And that has its challenges. I just remember like we started going to some lunches together, and I remember leaving our lunches sometimes, and I would tell my wife, there are some people out there that take all your energy from you. There's certain people that you leave neutral, and there's some people that you leave fired up. And I would leave with you, and I'd call my wife like, dude, I would be like, Britt, this guy is just on another level of energy. And for you to go from that house that we met at, the first one that I sold for you, to like where you're at now, I really think that's what like maybe more and more people are lacking, is just that straight wake up with like fire in their belly that they want to accomplish a goal. And I always I applaud you for that, because every time I'd leave you, I'd be so jazzed up. And there's not a lot of people out there that give you energy. They usually take it. And it was really super cool just how fast you are willing to like execute stuff. So I could see you wanting to be a realtor, because I even remember one time you called me for something, like I was your realtor. And I remember I was at the gym and I called you back like 17 minutes later. You're like, oh, I already did it. And I'm like, dude, just wait a minute. So I could see where you were like, I got to have access to this thing that he has the access to. So what's the biggest difference with being like realtor for like your clients now that you have, and for yourself? Like is it just the deadlines and things like that, and knowing you got someone now that you've got to be responsible for?
Yeah. Just learning all the systems behind the scenes,
Okay.
all the documents, and how long we have to send out certain documents and get disclosures back and things of that nature. I'm finding out I'm also a terrible negotiator.
Okay.
So like,
Really?
yeah, I don't know why. I don't have the sauce yet. I call it the sauce. These other guys, they have the sauce. I don't have it.
So when you say that, do you mean for your own personal deals that you're buying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
For clients, I can put on a little bit of a face, but when I'm looking at a property and I want it, like I can't, I don't have, I don't have
So
it.
meaning, do you think meaning the negotiations where you win the negotiation where you get it, but then you sit back and think that I overpay for it, or you lose it and you're wondering, should have I went more? Which one is it?
Yeah. I guess kind of like I make an offer. Let's say I make an offer on house X for 350 and it closes 2 weeks later to another cash buyer and it sells for 352. And I look back and I'm like, I would have paid 352 in a heartbeat for it.
Okay.
But I'm like, wait, why didn't I make that offer? Why didn't I make the connection to the agent to give me the chance to make that offer?
Sure.
So the whole spectrum of the negotiating process, I'm lacking.
All right. Well, maybe hit me up. I'll help you. I'll be
I'll
here.
take you up on that.
I'm just kidding with you. So what are you most excited about for like 2022? What gives you that fire right now that you're just like super stoked about?
Yeah, just flipping more houses, man. We did the transactions last year, the 9 transactions last year. Hoping to do another 12 this year, so 1 per month, and we're on cue, we're on goal, and we're having fun doing it.
As you get more and more capital, do you find that it's still something that you have to wholesale, even if you found a deal just based on cash flow?
No, I'm not
Or is
doing any
or
more wholesales. We're taking everything because the deals we're finding that they're harder to come across right now.
that you've got to keep them?
Yeah, we're gonna keep them in hand. We're gonna milk them all for as much as we can.
Okay.
So
And is your wife involved in this? Like what's her role in any of this?
yeah, so at the beginning of the year, we actually decided to bring her on full time as well. So she left the mortgage industry and now she's doing more of the design and picking out the materials and doing the material ordering. And I'm sitting behind the computer comping 100 properties a day looking for our next deal.
All right. Let's talk about that because I find I want to lean into your morning workflow because I've heard it before and you tell it to me. And it sounds a little bit like what my structure is in my real estate company. And what I'm finding is that I can't say it doesn't matter what you do, but I find that it's just people who just do a daily action daily. Almost like if you go to the gym every day, you're probably going to be, you're probably gonna have a muscle. Where if you do something every day, you eventually just probably get good at it. What does that look like for you when you talk about running your numbers and looking for properties? Because it sounds, when you've told me that one time, I was like, oh, dude, that sounds so boring.
Yeah, it's tough, man. If you really break the numbers down, if you're comping, let's say 80 to 100 properties a day times 7 days a week, and I don't take weekends off when I'm doing this, so that's upwards of 700 properties a week. That's almost 3,000 a month to find 1 or 2 that we actually close on. It is exhausting sending the offers. We're sending right now like 10 to 15 offers a week and
Okay.
shopping all the wholesalers lists religiously all week long. And it is exhausting, but
So that's what's cool about this is that like your discipline of being able to do that every day. And I think that's where your art is you have a discipline to do that every day. Now, don't get me wrong. You still have to know how to, you have to know the skill of how to, look at the numbers on that. And then you also, once you purchase it, you have to have the skill of, doing the work or hiring the work. So there's like 3 or 4 different skills, but I find that nothing actually starts until you find the deal, so
yep.
I applaud you for just being able to like grind that out every single day. Would you say that you think is that something that you would say that like that's what the other investors that don't do as many as you are lacking, or what separates you from the person who never does one or does one a year? Is it just what would you say?
Yeah, I would say the difference between getting from maybe 4 to where I'm at 12 a year would be this is full time. This is every day. I lost a property yesterday because it had posted to a wholesaler's website and I responded after 17 minutes and I lost it. So if you think it's tough and you think you can go on your lunch break and look at what's available, there's nothing left for you, I promise. Because
Oh,
the ones that are making money in this business are on this computer all day long looking for deals.
yeah. And that's cool that you got like now you're some leverage with your wife now. Brittany, entered that mix into the company a few years ago with us. And it's actually truly a blessing. I know I get asked the question all the time from more of a negative standpoint of like, oh, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, one, I love her.
Yeah.
Two, it's just like we're keeping, the same money that I'd pay someone into the household. So it just makes logical sense at a certain point, especially probably for you having kids and stuff. So
Absolutely.
what are your, like, is that something that you enjoy doing, just having her now stay at home with the kids and being able to help out with just like the family business?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know she likes it too. So
Yeah.
I know you see all the HG TV shows and everything, and she really enjoys going bold on some things where I'm just like, hey, everything just needs to be white, right? White walls, white baseboards, white kitchens. And she's like, no, we need pops of blue and yellow. And she enjoys it. So I let her roll with it.
Cool. What do you find to be, I ask people what excites them the most about the upcoming year is what do you find, what do you feel like your biggest challenges are or are going to be?
Yeah, I would
I
say,
sometimes like to think about that more than I like about the positives because I find that once you're, looking at what's going to be the challenges, you're almost mentally preparing for it. What do you think that is?
yeah, honestly, just like you said, I honestly think about it every day. Like rolling with the flips and making big profits on the flips are fun, but the challenges are what I focus most of my time on. And I would say, I think we're in the phase where we can afford, not financially, but afford for the business to go into more of a partnership and maybe look for people to help get us from doing 12 flips this year to 20 next year, to not to scale, but to scale comfortably.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now and what we're trying to figure out as far as challenges. Cause I would like to pull off and just be looking for deals all day and going direct to seller and meeting with sellers directly. But we have some logistical things that we need to figure out because I am still meeting with the contractors and all that, being more like in the field in the flips.
So to scale, do you feel that if you guys were scaling, your job is like your number one priority for your company to be finding deal
Absolutely.
in a perfect world?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting how that's in any business. It never changes. I could be talking to a plumber, a roofing company, a realtor, like the job is find the client or find the product that you need. And then, other people can always service it. But I find that the most money is made by finding just the actual client who needs to transact, or like you just finding the product that you can purchase and start like you're the reason why things come into the assembly line. Without you, there's no job for anybody else. What
Exactly.
does that look like for you? Do you have any plans of like expanding, or is that just something that's on the horizon that you think about?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say just on the horizon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. What's something that I didn't ask you that people, might want to know about you, or any advice that you would give them? Because I'm super proud of you, man.
Thanks. Man.
I got
Thanks.
introduced to you as like, and I have many clients, and I don't get to connect to all of them, but like there was something about you that when I saw you, I was like, this guy's, I feel like at my speed, and there's only so many people that might understand me. And I felt like I understood you. And I think it's cool when you find a friendship like that, where you're just like, I think we have the same energy. I send you text to hype you up. You send me text to hype me up. What, like what advice do you have anybody for trying to get to where you are?
Yeah. Non business related, I would say just follow what you like, follow what you love, follow what I tell my wife all the time. The last 2.5 years, I feel like I haven't worked a day. I feel like I'm not on vacation every day, but I'm just doing what I love. So it comes naturally. Stress-free life. We can take a day off. We could take a week off, but we choose to keep grinding because it's what we love. So
But when you take that week off, man, 12 other homes got bought by someone. No, I'm just
exactly.
kidding. That's how we think though. Like I go on
Yeah.
vacation, I'm like, oh no, you're just like trying to
Yeah.
reconcile taking time off and then also being able to lose out on some. So
And then Chris, also like pointing more into the business, I think I would like everyone to know, like, I know a lot of flippers that are doing 30, 40 deals a year, and that they're partnered on it every step of the way. I want everyone to know, like, hey, I'm doing 12 this year, and it's me and my wife. We're everything. We meet with the contractors, we list the properties, we do the documents, we find the deals, we get everything in play from start to finish. Nobody else is on our side, in our corner, looking out for us.
Yeah. So that's like somebody saying, the people that are flipping, they're like, I do 90, but they're just like a fourth partner maybe in it. I'm like, there's a lot of validity to how many you did, with it being like almost self-funded, self-managed. It's basically from the ground up, and you're still the one running it, which I give you like a ton of props for.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Thanks.
where can people, my goal is that if anybody is listening that's thought about flipping, and it's interesting because I remember when we went to lunch one day, you were like, why don't you flip properties? And I'm like, dude, I wouldn't even know like what to do. It just shows you that no matter how, there's so many avenues in real estate. And just because you're good at one doesn't mean you're going to be good at the other. And so, yeah, if there's anybody out there who's just like thinking about getting into flipping, like how could they reach out to you? Any of your socials or anything like that you want to give out?
Yeah, I think just the main one is our Instagram, Vine Street Properties LLC. You can find us on there. Shoot me a message. I'd love to meet up with you, have coffee, send me over an address, and I'll analyze the deal for you. I mean, I'm here to help because I was a beginner 2.5 years ago, and now I feel like I've kind of elevated my game and could make an impact on somebody new into this business.
Cool, man. Brett, I appreciate your time. You've got a cool story. I can't wait to see where your future goes in this. I really think that you're going to be soon the guy that's selling the 90 flips. And I'm going to be like,
let's go.
I know that guy on stage. So I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Likewise.
Hey, have a good day, buddy.
All right. Bye.
Bye.